Trouble. Hi, YouTube land. Me once again, being harassed by my cat. Come here. Come here. Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Want to say hello? Say hello. Hello. Okay. Go back to playing with your toy. Go on. I'll put you down. Thank you. So, what's been going on here? Not a huge amount. I'm still, as I said last time, reflection. I'm still, as I said last time, doing the Weight Watchers. I don't know if you have knowledge or experience of it, but if you do, it's a point system, and it's gotten a lot easier with it being online, and there's an app for that, as people are so wont to say nowadays. I first did Weight Watchers when I was, oh my god, 10 years ago? Yeah, 10 years ago. And you had to do meetings, you had to do point values by, well, I mean, now you call it the old-fashioned way, but, when I was a kid, that's how you did it, I'm part of one of the last groups that learned how to use the Dewey Decimal System and learned how to do everything with hand and pen and paper and book, and you had to know the hours the library was open. But that's how I first did Weight Watchers. And now as it was then, part of the thing for me is that you're allowed to earn activity points. So if you do a lot of activity, like if you're a dancer or you enjoy running or something like that, you earn points for that. You earn activity points. And you can trade the bonus points they give you every week for little splurges, or you can use your activity points. Now, here's the problem. Well, I don't know if you call it a problem, but here's my observation. I live in New York. Activity points are like breathing, okay? If you leave the house, you're walking. You may just be walking to the bus and then going from one bus to another or around on the subway platforms or what have you, but you are walking, you are doing stairs, you are doing physical activity, and that counts as activity points. It's not just, 20 minutes in a spin class or 50 minutes on a treadmill. All activity is activity point value. So I have a certain allotment, as all people who use this system do, where I'm allowed X points for the day. And it changes based on your weight. So you have to input once a week what your weight is, because that's what dictates whether or not you get more points or you lose points. Because you don't need as many points if you're not as fat. You shouldn't be eating as much to sustain that smaller you. I keep having a problem where I have so many activity points just from life itself. I mean, I haven't been on this more than a week, and I have 245 activity points. The majority of that was in the last 4 days. So if I go over my daily allotment of points, which happens, I mean, it certainly happens, my account is set up to start using the credit activity points. So I have 245 activity points. I have available like 210, instead of 245, because over the period of 3 or 4 days, I've used some of those activity points. So it becomes shifting math and justification and such. So, it's okay to go over on your daily thing, but if there's all these extra points, you kind of have to justify using them. Well, you don't have to, but a lot of people who self-sabotage, and I'm one of them, often do. So I'm trying to be really, really careful about that, which is no simple thing. And like I said, it's part of what I had a problem with 10 years ago, too. But I am legitimately making an effort. But In conjunction with that, part of the making an effort stride of my life now. Excuse me. I'm so tired. Oh. I'm sorry. In conjunction with that, there is the number of doctor visits I've had to do and still have to do. There was one I was supposed to go to on Monday that had to get pushed. Then they called me, that doctor called me back and said, actually, we scheduled you for a day. He's not going to be here. Can we reschedule the reschedule? It's like, sure. I guess so. So did that. And then I went to another doctor yesterday. And these are all specialists, okay? If you go to a primary care provider, anybody they send you to, blood work, x-rays, pulmonologists, oncologists, GYN, anything. It's a specialist. Any insurance plan you have, it doesn't matter. It's a specialist. Which means, by definition, it's more expensive, you know? So, I am glad we have insurance. I am certainly appreciative of the fact that my husband has a job where not only does he have health insurance, but I'm allowed to participate in that health insurance. I mean, yes, by virtue of the fact that we're one of the groups legally allowed to get married. But even that is changing. I mean, I don't know if you heard about Washington State approving of same-sex marriage into the law books, but it's a good thing. It really is. It's a good thing. And if we can get the rest of the states' legislative bodies to come into line and realize that you're not granting anything special to people, you're allowing them the right every human being has, then, you know, it'll be a good thing. And it would be great economics, too. Think of the financial boon so many industries would profit from. Oh my God. But that's, sorry, I'm running off topic. In conjunction with the Weight Watchers thing, I've been going to many, many specialists. And the result of going to many specialists when you have as much wrong with you as I do is lots of new medications. Now, medications work for many people. When you have a good doctor and a patient who wants to be healthy, who wants to be better, function better, feel better, look better, act better in some situations, things can go really, really well. And in this case, I have been lucky enough not only to find a primary, well, I pick a primary care provider who falls into the ethical ideal of what I think a Western practitioner should be. But of the 4 referrals she wrote me, I've been to 2 so far. Both happen to be female, like my primary care provider. But they have been fantastic people. Fantastic people. My new neurologist was a hoot. Obviously smart, very easy to talk to. Which, you know, for a medical practitioner, you have to be. Patients have to be willing and able to tell you absolutely everything. There's no way to help a person's health if you don't have an absolutely complete picture. And for someone as screwed up as I am, that is no easy ask, man. It is not. So I have a high level of appreciation for medical practitioners who I can get along with. And she knew the company my husband works for, which is also great because in the course of conversation I said to her, yeah, well, he works at a bookstore for a nonprofit called Housing Works down in Soho. And she went, oh, I know Housing Works. I love their thrift stores. So, you know, she got points with me for that. And then the same thing happened at the other specialist yesterday. I went to her and we were talking, and it was a first visit, of course. And in the course of conversation, I said, you know, answering the general questions. Yes, I'm married. Yes, it's a monogamous relationship. Yes, we're active, blah, 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 blah. And in this particular case, I had to answer certain additional questions about, like, you know, starting a family, and do you have plans to? And even the urologist, here's the strange thing. a lot of couples, one person is usually hesitant about starting a family. It's not always the case. Sometimes you have two people who are honest to God on the same page about things like starting a family, which is great. But it's not the rule, it's the exception. So when I told her, yeah, well, we're having the usual discussions about how long to wait, and, here's my concerns because of my age and because my own mother had 2 miscarriages before she had my sister and I, and we were both difficult birth and pregnancy. She said, the doctor said to me, oh, so I assume your husband's older than you? And I went, no, he's about a year and a half younger. Why? And she got this kind of shocked look on her face, like, what is it about men that they are always putting off starting a family? You're never ready to have kids. If people waited until they were ready to have kids, the species would have died out ages ago. And I damn near busted out laughing. She's absolutely right. And I've been telling my husband that. But that being said, you can't make people do something if they don't want to do it. And you certainly can't change a person if they don't want to change. And that's fine. I don't want to change my husband. I really don't. I do love him the way he is, and I knew exactly what I was getting when I married him. That's not the issue. I didn't come into it blind. My eyes were wide open. But it still irks me. It does. I mean, I know I have health issues. I know I have weight issues, and I am, like I said, working on it as best I can. New medications with new doctors and new efforts at, weight control and pain management, which is half the reason I can't exercise and therefore lose weight. So despite all the catch-22s I have to deal with, I have to admit, I'm one of those hyper-maternal types. I am. I think I probably first started seriously really wanting to start my own family when I was 14. But I was so cloistered and sheltered that teenage pregnancy was never a risk with me. I mean, I'm very proud of the fact that the only person I've ever been with is my husband. Yes, before we were married, but he's still the only person I've been with. I'm proud of that. It's not for everybody, but it's for me. But I've always been hyper-maternal. Screwed up as my childhood was, knowing how much like my mother I am, I admit that. More than 20 years of therapy, I admit how much I'm like my mother. But because I'm that much like her, I know how to be the opposite. But, it is what it is. So, I have 2 new medications, 2 new supplements, and I have to give this new doctor I saw yesterday some credit because one of the things she said to me is that Western medicine absolutely cannot treat pain. We have no gauge for it, no test for it, no measure for it. Eastern medicine certainly does. Acupressure, chiropractic, things like that. So, she gave holistic medicine its due as a Western practitioner. So, and she knew what Housing Works was. So she definitely gets points with me too. Also very easy to talk to. So that's what's going on here. I've once again simply rambled through a 15-minute allowable podcast time. But I do my weigh-ins on Fridays, and along with weigh-ins, I do body measurements, because really, I don't like scales. A tape measure can't lie to me so easy. So if I have any good news to report on that front, I will. In the meantime, I'm still job hunting. Get paycheck like a drug fix. Alright. That's it for me. I will talk to you guys later. I'm really enjoying the bright daylight that we get in this apartment. As you can see behind me, it looks like I have lights on, and I really don't. And I can't believe, look at this. My hair is getting so ridiculously long. Like a weed it grows. Good Lord. Okay. Well, that's it for now. Hope y'all are doing fine. If you have questions or comments, feel free to leave them. Peace.